Thanks for joining us. This is Sipping Tea with Nat and Z. I'm Nat.
And I'm Z.
What's
Hello.
up?
Happy
Happy
Sunday for
December.
us. Happy December.
It's the
Yes.
end of the year,
Um,
which is kind of wild. We did it,
yes,
Z! We did it!
we did. We got to the end.
Almost,
Almost.
because,
Almost.
man, because this surviving
We still got a
23,
few.
it feels like it could be its own miniseries at this point. Like I could be on the Lifetime Movie Network, or I think it would surpass Tubi standards the way this year has gone. Granted, it's
Oh,
been a
yeah.
little ghetto.
Oh, 2023 is definitely on 2B level. I
Tubi
would I
level.
would say definitely on the 2B level. Like
Ah,
it's giving 2B quality,
it's giving
definitely
Tubi
for sure.
vibes. Yo,
Oh yeah.
I finally saw a snippet of a Tubi movie, and I was like, "Is this real?" Like I
Yeah.
really, I thought it was a joke. I mean, I hear people
No.
talk about it all the time, but I really watched it. My son and his girlfriend were in the basement one day, and I was like, "What is this that y'all watching?" They're like, "Oh, it's a Tubi movie," and I was like, "Oh, this is real." I thought y'all were joking. I did not
No.
believe the stories.
I mean, I'm gonna say this. Tubi has got some. If you just need something to just be like, take your mind off of whatever
Uh huh.
bullshit is going on in your life, go to Tubi. Just pick any movie where you see a
Any
bunch of
movie?
black people. Where you see a bunch of black people, good to go. Something that you ain't never seen advertised, promoted.
Oh my
Pick
gosh!
it, and you will be entertained.
Wow.
I watched
Yes.
this one. You'll be entertained. I watched this one where they had these it was a sex robot. Some
What?
company made these sex robots. Yeah, they made these sex robots that turned out to be killer robots.
What?
It's just the wildest
Wait,
thing.
what?
Yes.
So this is like, hey, I have an idea, and I got a little
Uh-huh.
bit of seed money, and I want to make a movie.
Yeah. They were these sex dolls that were
The
supposed to
plot
be
alone, exactly.
yes, they were these sex dolls that were supposed to be like the most
Oh my
realistic
god.
dolls that have ever hit the market.
Uh
The
huh.
dolls were actually real people
What?
playing as dolls. They didn't have like the
Wow.
props weren't actual sex dolls. They were actors. And it's like, oh,
Right.
this is a sex doll, and the people like in the movie are poking them and stuff. It's like, oh yeah, I want to take this one home. And apparently there was something wrong with the wiring, and the sex dolls were out there killing. It was like killer sex dolls. If I can remember the title of it, I will definitely.
Oh
It
my
was
god.
wild. Me and Gayla were in here rolling. I was like, this is wild. This is really wild.
That is hysterical. That's so concerning on so many levels. So many levels.
Yeah,
But the
it
one I
was
saw with the
ridiculous.
baby that was clearly a plastic baby, and the
Oh
baby
yeah,
was
yeah,
white,
yeah, yeah. And the couple was
and
black.
the couple was black. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a wig situation with
Yeah,
the mom too. Like,
yeah. She kept
yeah,
every time they went back to her wig was different.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and with the
Mm-hmm.
plastic baby, and they looking at it like it was real. I was
Yeah.
so
It's
confused.
it's
Anyway,
Tubi is a
y'all.
wild place.
So
Tubi is a
this
wild place.
Survivor 2023, i.e. Tubi style. Um,
Yeah.
but our episode is doing a recap of 2023. And, talking
The highs and
about
the lows.
the highs, the lows, the sideways, the diagonal, whatever, all of the above. So, you know, that's what we're here for
Yeah.
today.
Yes. On
So,
today.
on today. So, tea of the day, y'all kind of know. Z, we've been
Oh,
here
am I
before.
supposed to? Yes, you have been here before. So, ain't no real tea on the table that we're drinking. So we don't got to give a disclaimer. But what is it that we have on the table
Yeah,
today?
on the table. So, celebrating 2023, I thought it was appropriate for us to close out the year to celebrate the highs and the lows because they are both all growth experiences and to give thanks for actually making it this far. So, there is a thanks and celebrate gift tea set that
Mm.
comes from Renaissance Tea. And
Oh
basically,
yes.
there's two things in the peach in the pack. One is thanks, you're a
Two
peach. You're
tings. There's two
awesome.
tings.
Two things. There's two things in the package. One's thanks, you're a peach. Celebrate your awesomeness, how fantastic you are. You're the best. Thanking yourself for getting through this year, surviving it. So it's a premium tea made of ginger, peach, and black tea. It's great hot or over ice. And then celebrate with a cup of cake, which is just to celebrate the fact that you made it and you're great and you're here. And it's a premium tea that is reminiscent of vanilla cake with lemon coconut icing. It's
Mm.
flavorful, it's a caffeine-free blend, and it's just an amazing and as spectacular as you are. So take those things going into as you close out this year and get yourself ready for 2024. Tasty.
Those are.
Tasty.
I think I had the cup of cake
Cup of cake?
before.
Yeah.
I think I've
Hmm.
had that before,
The
and if I
peach
remember
one I think I
correctly, it
had
is delicious.
somewhere. Yeah,
Well,
so check it
that
out.
cup of cake is delicious. Yeah.
Go for it, y'all.
Um. So, okay, there is some hot tea that I'm
Mhm.
going to get into. The first is with Megan Thee Stallion and her ex-boyfriend, Partisan Fontaine, also known as Party,
Mhm.
who also writes for Cardi B.
Really?
He is her ghost. Yeah, he's. I would say he's her ghostwriter, but everybody knows that he writes for her, so he's not really
Oh,
her ghostwriter if everybody knows.
right.
But so they broke up, which I mean everybody was pretty much, and I may have talked about this already, but everybody was pretty much okay. Yeah, I think they all broke up. I think we all kind of knew that.
Mhm.
And I think it was the stress of the trial that kind of got them
Mm.
probably to the end of their relationship. So she comes out with this song recently called Cobra, and I think I talked about this and how she's shedding her skin and she's becoming anew, and
Mhm.
she's how she dealt with like depression during this time and wanting to kill herself. She's lost both of her parents. She is drinking heavily, very
Mhm.
sexually promiscuous during this time, which I mean, grief does tend to
Yeah,
manifest itself in different ways for different people.
so true.
So in the song, she mentioned that she just said she never said a name. She said, caught that ninja
Mhm.
cheating in the same bed that I sleep in. So everybody just, because the only relationship that people were fully aware that she was in was that with Party. So everybody was like going at Party like, oh, you cheating on Megan, how dare you? She was in her lowest moment, blah, blah, blah. Now, mind you, she never said anything. She never said his
Right.
name. This man comes out with a whole song called Megan. Well, it's called The Person. And if you know Megan Thee Stallion, she spells her name The Thee. So it said The Person, Thee person. And the whole song was just, in my opinion, what happens when you get hurt and you
Mhm.
just start to lash out. Because she only said one thing about him. She never said anything else. And she
Right.
never said his name. This man called her, he's like, I'm not talking to Megan Thee Stallion, I'm talking to Megan in person. He said that her
Oh,
soul was disgusting and that
what?
she lied to him about sleeping with these dudes, and that like really just he went and said, you on here taking all these gym photos, posting all these gym pics, but you got lipo. Okay, but don't you still got to keep up? And
Right.
she's never presented herself as someone who had not had
Work
a
done.
little bit of work done.
Mhm.
If she got lipo, so be it. But then fans started coming up with receipts.
If I had money too, I'd get a lipo.
Well, yeah, me too,
Or
but
her kind. If I had her kind of money.
shit, you don't need her kind of money to get lipo, but that's a whole nother.
That's true. That's
um
true. You're right. You're right.
so fans started finding receipts, and they found pictures of her when she first started, and she looks exactly the same.
Uh
So
huh.
people's like, even if she did get lipo, so what? She looks exactly the same as she did when she first started, when she was
Right.
a teenager. And
Yeah.
she did, like, body looked exactly the same. If you stop drinking and you eat healthy, of course your body is going to start to look the way that it should look. But
Of course. No
um
brainer.
he said that she had him looking stupid, blah 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 blah. And my thing is this, and then I hate pygmies. There are a lot of women saying, well, she spoke her truth, he should speak his. Absolutely. If she laid out their entire relationship in the song
Right.
and she put all the blame on him, then absolutely he needs to come back and fire whatever shots he wants. But this woman made one line in one song and didn't even say your name, and you made a whole song about her.
Wow.
That's a bit sassy, if you ask me.
Oh yeah. Like it's
That's
like
a bit
he was just
sassy.
like
Yeah.
sitting, just building up stuff to fire out an arsenal he might have stocked up or something. You
He
know, that he
probably
was
was
waiting.
waiting to pull the trigger, which also
But
shows
that's
you
just a
that
quick.
you
But
weren't
that's a
fully healed.
quick. I mean, I know when you're hurt or someone lashes out, and but here's the thing. But you know, hit dogs holler too.
They do. And he
So I
admitted in the
mean,
song, yeah, I did cheat, but it wasn't in the house and it wasn't, I did
wait,
sleep with
what?
somebody while we were together. Yeah, he said that in the
Oh,
song,
okay,
but it
okay.
wasn't where you're saying it happened. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
location,
Okay.
location,
hmm
location, semantics,
And then,
details.
yeah, and then said, the reason why I did it is because you did it first. Like, it's just a whole lot of back and stuff. And then was like giving a lot of information that we didn't really need about what she was
Hmm.
going through during that period of time.
Really? He
And then he's
like
like,
put her
and then you
on
released
Front
it.
Street like that?
Yeah. And then he says, oh, and then you released the song on my daughter's birthday. That's when I knew you was trash.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So,
oh.
and he's messing with this new girl. She's from Jamaica. Her name is Jada Kingdom.
Uh-huh.
And all I'm going to say is, you're talking about Megan getting lipo, but then you're with a woman whose whole body is clearly done. Clearly done. Like,
Really?
she's a
Like
pretty
it's
girl.
no.
Don't get,
Uh-huh.
yeah, don't get me wrong. She's a pretty girl, but she's also, you met at Megan for having sex with people before you, which I think is stupid. But this girl literally was just tied to Burna Boy.
Oh,
Literally
really?
just connected to Burna Boy, was wearing his chain maybe like a month before people started saying that she was with Party. And Burna Boy put her in a song and said that having sex with her was so good he bought her a Birkin bag.
What? Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
What?
So,
What?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, I cannot report this type of news if I don't invest myself in this trash.
Clearly. The fact I cannot report the news if I'm not completely submersed. I want to give you the
In the
facts.
trash.
In the trash. Sorry, in the
Mm-hmm.
trash.
Because I care nothing about these people's personal lives. Okay?
Oh my
Just give me a
gosh.
bop to dance to. That's all I care about.
Beady
Okay?
beady bop.
But
Beady beady bum
beady
bum.
beady bum bum.
Beady beady bum bum.
That's all I care about. Give me a little beady beady bum bum and I'm good. But I'm just reporting this because these are the
news.
facts.
These are the
Literally, she was
facts.
with Burna Boy. Yes, she was with Burna Boy wearing his chain. He bought her a Birkin. A month later, she's with Party. Party's talking about, oh, now you grabbing your chest because you see me out with her. What? Sir, they're
What?
both beautiful women. They're both beautiful women. Personally, I would go with Megan over this woman. That's my personal taste. But hey, everybody, but they both bad. They both bad. They both bad. So and he's supposed to be coming out with a full album sometime next week. And so I'm assuming we'll probably hear some more about their relationship that we are not asking for. So we're just asking to take us out the group chat. So that's it with Party and Megan. The Renaissance film. So, with Renaissance, I saw that, and that was everything that I needed it to be. Yes, I went to the concert. We talked about me being at the concert. The concert was absolutely amazing. And even though I was at the FedEx Field, with just the worst,
Yes.
concert going experience, the experience of Beyonce and that theatrical concert was beautiful. So I bought a ticket a long time ago. As soon as the tickets dropped, I bought the ticket. I went by myself.
I wanted to go. I was supposed to go
And
yesterday.
it was a good film. If it's not Homecoming, like, so if you saw Homecoming, Homecoming was definitely more it was like a good balance of documentary plus performance.
Mm-hmm.
This is more performance. It's like more concert heavy,
Oh, okay.
and then sprinkles of personal information um, about the whole process of the tour. I'm not going to give everything away because there's still people who want to see it, but
Mm-hmm.
I will say she said this was 4 years in the making. So
Really?
she was already preparing for this. So the music, by the time we heard it, was probably already 4 years old. Okay. It was four
Mm.
years in the making. She talks about that. She talked about why she didn't dance a lot,
Mm-hmm.
which made perfect sense. She talked about it. I was like, dang, the things that you don't really think about physically that
Mm-hmm.
artists go through. She talks about Blue Ivy. You get to hear Blue Ivy's side of some of the negative. And shame on you guys for talking bad about that baby because she's only 11 years old, performing in
Oh,
front of
that's it?
70,000 people. Yes,
Oh,
and
wow.
you see and it's funny, you see the dynamic between Blue and her mother, which is hilarious because the Beehive always says that Blue Ivy is Beyonce's manager. And if you see the clips that they share, you would understand that that is so true. That she is her mom's manager, okay? That she was the manager for the tour.
Oh, that's
Um,
funny.
so
Are
you
the other
see
kids in it at all?
yeah, you see glimpses of Sir and Rumi. Rumi is the one to watch. Like, Blue is definitely the big sister.
Mm-hmm.
Rumi is the little sister. If you are a big sister and you have a little sister, you understand what I'm saying
Yes,
completely.
I get it.
She is okay, I'm here, I'm the superstar. Like, Rumi is hilarious. Sir, you never really heard much in there from him,
Uh-huh.
but you saw him a lot. You saw him interacting with his parents a lot. Jay-Z, you hear him talking to Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. And then at the end, she had a new song that actually came out early Friday morning. Well, it came out, I forgot when it came out, late, maybe it was like late Thursday, but
Mm-hmm.
when I got up in the morning, I had like a little thing from Beyonce. Yeah, I get text messages from Beyonce.
Excuse me.
And it was like
Excuse me.
and it was like
Okay.
and it was like my house now out. And I was like, what? And I went and I was like, oh bitch, yes. So I would say I wish I would have took Charlie with me
Mm-hmm.
because she didn't get to go. And I feel like it would have been a good thing for her to see because it wasn't like, you know what I mean? Like, I think she would have enjoyed watching it.
Right.
I'll say this, with anything, you know how we do, Black people,
Mm-hmm.
but people in general. Back in the 70s, 80s, or whatever, when Star Wars came out, people were dressing up like Star Wars. And then
Mm-hmm.
even
Right.
when the remakes came and
Yeah.
these new, not remakes, but when the new installations of Star Wars came, people
Mm-hmm.
were dressed up as a walkie, all these Wookiee or whatever them people
Yeah.
called. Layla, what is it? No, what's her name? The
Princess
Star Wars
Leia.
chick? Princess
Princess
Leia,
Leia.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everybody does that, right? Anytime there's a character that's beloved to people,
Yes.
they dress up. We did it for
Yeah.
Black Panther, when Wakanda, like we went
Comic
all out.
Con. Comic
Yes,
Con stuff.
yes. And it's funny because people focus exclusively on Beyonce and the Renaissance
Mm-hmm.
tour, but the girls were doing it for Taylor too. Like, they had
Yeah.
outfits. The girls were wearing outfits to see Taylor. There was an aesthetic that was happening with Taylor Swift's concert.
That was very Taylor-esque, or as a
Very,
Swiftie.
yes, as a Swiftie. So a lot of people were wearing the re-wearing their outfits from the
Mm-hmm.
concert into the movie. I'm glad. I love seeing Black joy in any form because
Mm-hmm.
we are living in a world where finding joy is very difficult. It's been very
Yeah.
challenging. There are a lot of people that I follow that have recently talked about the struggles that they've been having mentally. Serena Williams posted it.
Mm-hmm.
Amber
Excuse me.
Riley. I don't know if you know who Amber
Who's
Riley is,
that?
but she was on Glee, the Black girl on Glee.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And there was someone else that recently was just talking about how just like heavy the world was feeling for them and they just weren't doing well mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I get to see pockets and sprinkles of Black joy, it warms my heart, right? Because
Makes sense.
we
Yeah.
always see our bodies being displayed in different ways. and
Hmm.
now what in violent ways, right? And
Very violent.
very stereotypical ways. But to
Hmm.
see us getting dressed up, all coming together, feeling seen, being heard is a beautiful thing. And people were doing that at the theater. And I love seeing the clips of it. I'm glad I was not a part of that experience because I wanted to just be able to enjoy the movie without all of the dancing and the extra
Right.
sound effects. But the videos that I have seen of people just fully reliving that time
Hmm. Were there a
was
lot of people
beautiful.
dressed up at the movie theater?
Not when I went, no.
Oh, so it
And
wasn't
the
like
clips
Black
I've seen,
Panther.
yes. No, but I went in the afternoon at 1 o'clock in the
Oh,
afternoon.
okay. Yeah. I've seen, and this is a sidebar, but to the outfit note for Beyonce. I don't know if you've seen on. I'm sure you've seen on Instagram when the folks have when these ladies have the Beyonce parties and they open the door and they
Uh
all
huh.
show up in the different outfits.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's just like such a cool, fun idea to that speaks to the joy because these ladies like totally embrace her whole
Yeah.
persona when they come to the door
Mm-hmm.
and they just look like they're having such a good time. I don't know who thought of that because I also saw it when someone had a Steve Harvey party and everybody came with the
I
bald
saw the
cap and
Steve
stuff.
Harvey party.
You know,
Yes.
so I like those types of theme parties. It's a little bit different. You
I
know,
saw
a little bit more invested.
yeah, I saw these white women have a Golden Girls party where they
Oh,
all
that's
dressed up
so
as their
cute.
favorite Golden Girl character. Yeah. So
Oh
um
yeah, I like that.
yeah, so I'm glad that I did not. I was in a very tame
Hmm.
showing of it, and I think most of the people that came for
For
that
that
very reason.
reason,
They came
yeah,
to
so
not
they could
have
just
to be in the thick
enjoy.
of it, right?
Yeah.
And I, I'm one of those people that, like I said, I like to have fun. I like to just embrace like life because it's so fleeting.
Yes, it is.
Um, and you know 2023 has been very challenging for a lot of us in a lot of ways, right? It's been challenging for me. Like I feel like 2023 for me, as far as like when I look at the highs, right?
Mhm.
Um, some of them is just like, financially, I think this is probably the best year I've had for myself in terms of how I've managed my money and budgeted my money. I feel like as far as my career is concerned, this is probably one of the better years I've had because I finally kind of let go of
Mhm.
every like trying to be perfect and trying to be like the best employee and just like trying to live up to a standard that I've been holding for myself that just, you know what I mean,
Right.
isn't really ever going to be attainable because I'm such a perfectionist. But then there's just like a lot of other things I've had to learn how to kind of hold space for a lot of other people
Mhm.
and try to manage that and my own emotions, if that makes sense. Like, I
Yeah.
have a friend who doesn't have that much longer to live, like,
Mhm.
honestly. And every time I think about it, it just chokes me up because it's just like this person's probably one of the sweetest people that I have ever met. She
Mm.
kind of reminds me of Karen a bit.
Aw.
Hasn't even hit 50 yet.
KK.
Yes. And she hasn't been my friend for, as long as you all have, but
Mhm.
we've developed a very good friendship and she doesn't have much longer. And I am trying very hard. I'm just struggling with that a lot.
Right.
Um,
It's a lot to process,
because
you
she's such
know.
a good person and she really doesn't deserve this. Her family doesn't deserve this, but
It does
um,
bring to light to, like you said, life is fleeting. It gives you, as
it
sad as
is.
it is, it makes you really sit and, pause. And as we're like doing this recap for the year, it really brings into sharp relief those things that we really need to think about. How do we want to move forward in a positive way that is
Right.
more beneficial to our mental and emotional health, and to
Yeah,
really not take things for granted,
absolutely not.
and definitely not take things for granted because, like you said, there's folks that are, I don't want to say it in a negative tone, but that don't take advantage of the gift of their
Yeah,
existence every day. And they just
yeah.
kind of assume
So,
it's going to be what it is and don't cherish that.
absolutely, they don't. And, So for me, just tying it back in to like we were talking about these videos and the Renaissance and like people doing these, like I even saw a color party where people dress up as like a particular color and then they bring
Hmm.
snacks that all are foods that all
Oh,
match
that's
that particular
unique.
color, drinks and stuff like that. And I said, these are cute ideas, and like I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I
I
like
said
those type
that,
of theme parties.
yes, my goal, even with like Charlie now, Charlie wants to wear something, I don't care. Do what brings you joy, because there are so many people and things and events that
Mm,
try to take your
that
joy
part.
and try to steal that happiness from you. And I think that there's
Yes.
even times where I don't even know if people realize
I don't think so.
like as
Because
much negative energy that's around
yes,
you on a daily
yes,
basis.
yes. I completely agree with you on that. And I just listening to people um, talk about the woes, and I think it has to do with the media, of course, but they're quick to focus on the negative and not their mere existence of being able to just exist and see what's going on, but not be part of it. As if it's
Hmm.
like consuming all to them, but it really has
Yeah.
not any direct tie to you per se, but to what they focus on and the negativity
Right.
instead of turning it on its ear and being, it's like when we talked about gratitude. The more
Yeah. Yeah.
gratitude, the
Yeah.
more you're grateful, the more you see things. But it's the flip side, then that's all you're going to focus on. And then you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've made a conscious effort. I said, especially with this new year coming up, that I'm just not in. I'm not going to. I'm going to be more mindful of the energy I put out, and I'm
Hmm.
not entertaining any type that I feel is negative energy in my space and in my orbit anymore. I just can't.
Yeah.
I don't like being. I've realized this year that something had been happening over and over again. I'm not going to get into
Hmm.
specifics, but I kept finding myself interacting interacting with someone, and their interactions always, it's like always negative. Like at the
Yeah.
end I always feel like, why is that negative? Why is it
Because
every
that
time
energy
I'm
came off on
done,
you and weighing you
why is
down.
this always right? And I'm like, I can't. I have to limit now. I realize I have to limit my interactions with this person
Hmm.
because I cannot. That negative energy is just there. And
Negative
again,
energy
like
is
I said,
real.
it is. And
It
I
is
think
real.
sometimes you don't even see, like, I don't even think sometimes people realize that they are just negative
Yes,
energy.
because they're so
You understand what I'm
consumed
saying?
with it. I agree with you. I don't
Yeah.
think people, it is their normal. You and I both know of someone that every time I talk to them, the world is ending.
Yeah.
And you're just like, really? Like, it's you like 25 years in now. Like, seriously?
And the world is still
And
ending.
the world is still ending?
Right.
How is that possible? And then for
Right.
every solution, they have a problem. Every solution.
Absolutely.
Every solution.
Absolutely.
And you're just like,
Absolutely.
realize you are negative Nancy all the damn time.
Right. But you know what? I also realized I had to mind my thoughts, actions, and
Hmm.
speech, because I can spiral into that at times.
Yeah, that
So
self
I
talk
say
is
all
real.
it is. So I say all that to say, I keep sending me like the algorithm can keep doing that. Send me all the videos of the people dancing and
Hmm.
singing and and having the mute challenge in the theater. Send me, keep algorithms, please keep coming with the women who have like the dress up parties, or like
I love
there's these
those.
girls that dress up. I don't know if you've seen them. They dress up as old women and go out to brunch.
No.
If I could find that video, I'll send it to you. But it is hilarious. They dress up like old ladies and go to brunch. Um, so I feel like
That's
whatever
hysterical.
brings you joy, especially as a Black person, especially as a a marginalized individual, just embrace it. Because when I tell you
Yes.
life is short and life is fleeting, I mean,
Don't take it for
and for
granted,
you
y'all.
don't. And for you young folks that always want to lash out at old people, I'm like, okay, boomer, or okay, sis, you old, or auntie. Let me tell you what I've learned. The blessing is not being young. The blessing is getting old.
Hello. I had
People
that
look at
conversation
being getting,
yesterday.
yeah, it's getting old. It's getting it's
That's a
getting
blessing.
and reaching levels of maturity that
Yes.
I'm looking forward to and embracing.
Yeah,
And then the
for
last
sure.
thing, And I don't want to dwell too much on this because it's already a little heavy for me today because I'm just worried about my friend. But the Cassie Diddy situation,
Mhm.
we've seen it in the news. Cassie has sued, and I may have talked about this
Mhm.
already. She sued Diddy for his, for his abuse towards her through their tumultuous relationship. Now all these
Mhm.
other people are coming out, bodyguards and
Yeah,
friends
that
of
was
Kim
inevitable.
Porter and people in the industry that are like, yeah, okay, why are y'all surprised? Why are you shocked? Um, but an interesting take on this is I was actually watching an attorney talk about this, and the
Oh.
attorney was saying how the way that the suit was set up, that they sued the company, the corporations. They didn't just sue him; they sued the corporations, and
Revolt?
anything that he was, yeah, anything that it's something called directors and officers, and
Mhm.
so these people have insurance. Like if you're this rich,
Oh,
you have
yeah.
insurance, right?
Like malpractice for artists.
Right. And so they're like, it could further harm this particular business if we don't settle. So we're going to settle. And they don't
Uh,
even really have that communication with you
it's their
per
own decision
se.
for their bottom line
Right.
and for their
Right. It's
entity.
right. That and they come up with a number and then they settle. And usually they will confer with your attorney.
Mhm.
But the bigger thing is, we saw this happen with Lizzo, right? Lizzo, these people came out
Mm.
and said all this bad shit about Lizzo, and then what did she say? Oh, I'm countersuing you bitches, and you ain't heard shit since, right? Just countersuing y'all, and it just got real
Right.
quiet, right?
Yeah.
I feel like if Diddy didn't have anything to hide, one, he wouldn't have
Mhm.
had given everybody their publishing rights back with the contingency that you sign an NDA. Because why do I need to
Correct.
sign an NDA for you to give me my rights back? And people said that when they said that when he did this was before the Cassie thing broke, and he's like, "But you got to sign an NDA." And there were people that came out and said, like Aubrey was like, "I ain't signing no NDA just to give me my rights back."
Right.
Um, I'm gonna sign this. I'm not signing this NDA, whatever. So they got, they got they didn't get their rights back, but he knew something was coming, right?
Uh-huh.
So the fact that he has not countersued or did not, because from what I understand, when these insurance companies, they look at the liability, they do their own investigation. They don't just say,
Yeah.
they do a thorough investigation to see if
It's
there's
good
even
business.
if there's even a slither of truth to anything that this person is saying. If there
Mhm.
isn't, we're not going to settle. We'll just drag your ass through
Right.
court. If there is, we're going to settle because the issue at hand here is that um you're going to bring even more. If we don't settle, it's going to be even have a huge a larger financial impact on us. So the fact that he hasn't countersued, just for
Mhm.
me, is very telling, because then there's proof, right?
And it was
Um,
quick. It was quick.
very quick. It was very quick.
Very quick.
That
Like
turnaround
that
was
was like
very quick.
24 hours almost, but not. But in the world,
Mm-hmm.
like in the legal world, it was like 24 hours. Instantaneous
Mm-hmm.
response. Because we all
Yeah.
know lawsuits can take years.
Yes, they can.
Years.
Um, and if you don't, and my thing is, countersuits always, like I said, anytime somebody has done something, the countersuit always is the best indication that I didn't, unless you are that arrogant, right?
Well,
Like you need
yeah.
to be that arrogant to be like, you know what I mean? I also say this. I am fully aware of how trauma manifests itself and when it
Mhm.
manifests itself and how long it takes you to release that trauma or process that trauma.
Mhm. It could be a lifetime
And
for some.
it can. I don't think there's any amount from what I read, and I read the whole entire document, right? All
Mhm.
35 pages. From what I read, she deserves that boy. Give her everything.
Oh my. It's
Because
like that.
because even though she's gotten a settlement,
Mhm.
I know, I feel that it's just more so of exposing him. That's
Mm,
probably the better vindication, because you got money, but every time you look at that money, you
right.
have to realize where that
Remember
money came from.
why you're getting the money.
Right, which could technically re-traumatize somebody,
It
right?
could. It could.
Um, but for my pain and suffering, that's why they have pain and suffering. Like if you cause an
Yeah.
accident, that's why there are companies that look at how much they should pay you for lost limbs. I remember when I was in law school, I
Mhm.
had an
Mhm.
internship and I worked for the city of New York. I worked for Manhattan, and and the place that I worked with, that was our job, was to kind of do research to see over, like, collectively in
Mhm.
other areas, how much did the city pay out for someone who lost a limb?
Mm.
How much did it cost if somebody lost an arm, an eye, like
Right.
all of that, right? We had to
Right.
figure this out. So insurance companies do this. This is their job, to figure out how much it's going
Mhm.
to cost to make you whole.
Right. However they're gonna
The
make you
abuse that
whole.
he did, right? How for the abuse that he did, and I mean, think about it. Her career got stunted. There's a lot
It
that goes
sure.
into it.
You
It's
know
just
what?
not
It really
always,
did.
yeah. It's
It
not just the
really did.
physical, right?
Right.
It's everything else that's tied into it. How
Anticipated
much did she
earnings.
lose?
Right.
Right. How
Anticipated
much did
earnings.
she lose to the abuse and to the behavior that you inflicted upon her? 30
Mhm.
million when Beyonce's worth a half a billion,
Yeah.
when you have all these girlies out there that are worth more than that aren't as I would say as talented as she was, acting, singing. 30 million
Mhm.
seems like a drop in the bucket for me personally.
Mhm.
Um, but time will tell. I just hope she's healing somewhere. I hope she's loving on her babies, and I hope her husband
Yeah.
is loving up on her.
I hope so. I hope so. And we'll see what happens. Because he did also step aside from a revolt, right?
Well, he
After
has,
all of
but
this.
he still owns it. He just is not
Uh-huh.
in the day-to-day operations. He's not the
Uh,
face, the public
the
face
face of
of
it.
it.
That
Right.
was probably best
Yeah.
in light of everything and
So,
what may be coming down the pike
yeah,
with all the other stories.
he's done.
Yeah.
He's not bouncing back from this. He's just not. Like, I cannot see him bouncing back from this. Not in this era.
Yeah, it's gonna
Maybe if
take a
this was
little
like 10
while.
years ago,
Oh,
but in this
yeah.
era, no,
There's too
no,
much
he's not bouncing.
out there, I think. And
Yeah.
it's probably just the beginning. It's just getting started.
It is.
It's just getting started.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but
and it's a shame, because it's the same way as like the R. Kelly situation, right?
yes,
Can you
that's what, yeah.
separate the artist from the music? And
'Cause that was our college
when,
years.
yeah, I haven't listened to Diddy in a long time, so I
Hmm.
don't think that it's going to make a difference. Well, it's funny. No, I did listen to something from when I was working out. And I was like, oh my God, this is such a great workout song. And this was like, I may have said this like maybe 2-3 months ago. And it's just
Hmm.
wild, because I hadn't listened to Diddy for a very long time. And I think it was around the time when the NDA stuff came out. And then it was
Oh,
just like, oh, okay, well,
yeah.
all righty then.
Mm.
So, time will
Yeah.
tell. Time will
Time will
tell.
tell.
But
Time will tell. Time will tell.
okay,
It is
well,
what it is for right now.
yep. But that was a lot. But because this was our wrap up, episode. I mean, it's not like,
We wrapping up stuff. We giving
yeah,
our
we're wrapping
overview.
it up.
We're wrapping it up.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and take a break and actually get into the real wrap up.
And we are back. So, getting into this wrap up, we're looking at giving an overview of some of our favorite episodes that we discussed throughout the year, our thoughts, interpretations, and why we thought that these particular episodes were impactful for us. And we're looking at it from what are some themes that may have been woven throughout or resurfaced throughout a lot of the episodes, and speaking to what we just talked about, some of the cultural impacts and significance of the topics topics that we discussed throughout the year. Some of our favorites, some we're just giving a little commentary. We kind of just remind you of what we talked about. So maybe you, as you're going into the holiday season, you can go back and, listen to some while you're sitting on
Yeah.
your couch drinking your hot cocoa or watching Tubi or something. I don't know. If you don't want to watch, or maybe you don't want to, you watch Tubi and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go listen to an episode instead because I can't. I just can't. I can't. So we can either start from the top or we can go backwards. So, if we've been,
I think let's just pick out
whatever.
let's just pick out our favorites from the year.
Yeah.
So I'll say for me, right? And I think for me, because these are the common theme, like, because they were like reoccurring themes or messages across all of our episodes, right? But the ones that I think for me stood out a lot were the 10 best things for my 10 worst experiences.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, that was in October.
Yeah.
I think the ones on intimacy, the one on intimacy, which was in April, that one really stood out with me. And then I think living with regret and the art of rest, I think were also two of my favorites. And I just think it's because sometimes things resonate with you because of the things that you're actually going through at the time.
Agreed.
And I think that, a lot of times those episodes for me brought into light a lot of things, like especially the intimacy episode, because I think so many people focus on just intimacy with your romantic partner that people don't realize that you can have a level of intimacy with your family and with your friends. And so I think that those stood out for me. I think that our episodes this year were a little more on the heavier side.
Agreed.
We didn't do a lot of like very jovial kiki, and I think that was because of the tone of 2020.
Yeah,
it was.
That's true. It goes with the surviving thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know for me this year, I struggled a lot. With my mental health, and I'm learning some things that I've gone through, that I've been going through, that aren't isolated to me. Like, I've realized that once I've had a child, having a child I knew that having a child was going to escalate the level of anxiety that I face every day. But somebody who already suffers from anxiety, sometimes that anxiety just is paralyzing to the point where I don't even want to go outside because I'm just afraid what could potentially happen, and all of these different scenarios. You understand? Because the area that we live in now has just been overrun with crime. And when I mean the area, like the DMV area.
It is on another level.
I mean, DC had over 900 carjackings, and it's not even the end of the year. Okay,
that's
like
insane.
Robberies. Somebody got robbed in front of, or my neighbor got robbed at gunpoint in front of her home. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We had to let her in because they took everything and she couldn't get into her house. Like, these are things that just like are all consuming. This woman just got robbed for her dog, a French dog.
Yes, I saw that.
In front of her house. And then had to pay $900 to get it back because somebody bought it off the street. First of all, why are you buying a dog off the street?
Oh
why
my
buying a dog off the street?
Yeah.
If somebody offer you to buy a dog off the street and they tell you $900, you should already know that that's something not right with that.
Right. That's come on now. I just found out that my neighbor got her car stolen from out of her driveway. A month ago. And I'm like, wait, what? I mean, it didn't help that she left the keys in there, but still. And then they came back a couple times.
But still.
They came back 3 times.
Still.
Yes. And it was by 2 underage girls. Not like 17 and under. But it was like a bunch of them. And it was 2 guys and 2 teenage girls. Yeah. Insane.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So I think that's why our episodes haven't been so heavy this year, because
we're reflecting.
A lot of it spoke to what was actually
going on,
like happening. Yeah,
in
every
this
day.
Crazy world that we're living in these days. People
Yeah.
need a hug or something. Like what? It's
A lot
just.
of people need to touch
I think it's the
grass.
PTSD. It's the PTSD from COVID,
Oh,
and it's
absolutely.
manifesting. And this is how it's manifesting.
Oh, absolutely. And it's manifesting in ways that we just don't even. I think we're just now realizing, right? It's just coming to fruition. Um, and I'm realizing it doesn't matter where you are, where you live, how nice the neighborhood
Yeah,
is,
it
how bad the
doesn't.
neighborhood is. You are not like you're just not. Crime is everywhere,
Mm-mm. It
and
is.
honestly, they're coming
Yeah,
now. Like, why am I going to stay in the hood to rob when I can go to these houses and
that
in
I'm
these
seeing.
neighborhoods where I know
Yes.
people got money, and I'm gonna just go there and rob them people?
Yeah. And I thought about
Why
something
not
the
do
other
that?
day, like when we first moved into the neighborhood, and this was, of course, pre the surgence of DoorDash. And you would see
Mm-hmm.
people drive through your neighborhood and you knew who they were. And then so you would wave, and so you could kind of have like awareness about you, and you could see your neighbors and stay outside. And I'm wondering, just as the pandemic hit, and then door dashing, and it just opens the world to a bunch of folks that, like you said, well, why am I going to stay in my neighborhood where people ain't got nothing for me to steal, and I can go to these other people's house that I've now been exposed to. I'm not saying that's the case for everybody, but it has created an awareness and an opportunity, time and opportunity for folks to get a view of other things going on to now that they may want to take advantage of,
I mean, that's
unfortunately.
it could be a possibility, but I feel like more likely happening in a lot of these areas is that these kids, because a lot we're finding out,
Yeah,
right,
it's
that
kids,
these are kids that are doing this. These
teenagers.
are like 13 and to
Yeah,
16-year-olds, right?
yeah.
Like recently, this 13-year-old boy got killed because he was trying to carjack somebody, and the guy shot him. And his friend, he was with his friend who was 12, and his friend ran off. And then the family
Yes.
friends were like, oh, well, he was just getting his life together and it's sad.
What?
Why
At
is he getting
13?
his life together at
At
13?
13? But you know what? There are some 13-year
Sir,
olds out
ma'am.
here, though, depending on where they come from. 13 is really trying to get their life together, unfortunately.
But what I'm also seeing is that it's not the narrative that we usually think of, right? Whereas it's
Hmm.
like, oh, it's a single parent household, a single mom,
Yeah.
she can't do this, she can't do that. It's a lot of these kids from two-parent households, a lot of kids
Yes.
that are like T.I. and Tiny Son who had the world
Wait.
given to them. Girl, he was going in on them, talking about some. Basically, he wanted to live in the hood, like just a
What?
very privileged child that doesn't understand how privileged he is. Not to say that Tiny and Ti are great parents, because we already all of their kids have said something negative about the way that they were raised.
Uh-huh.
But his view in how he was raised, he said he's one of those kids that wants the street cred and is mad that he's
Oh,
living
I
in
know.
the
Yeah, I
he
know some
wasn't.
folks
You
like that.
understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want the street cred and I want to stand on business, but I grew up with the silver spoon in my mouth, because you did.
Right.
And he
Yeah.
stayed with his grandma because his grandma was kind of in the hood or hood
Mm.
adjacent. I don't know the whole story because I don't care about them folks, but you have these situations where there are kids who are living a very good life
Yeah.
but want to portray what they hear or see, right?
See in the videos
Um,
or whatever, just what they
right.
think
And
is to get them cred for what. I don't understand that. I don't come from a world where the street cred is more important than having opportunity afforded to you for you to try so hard to get it. And I've seen it in parts of my family where the privilege notion is kind of cast so that you can get that street cred for what I'm not.
mm-hmm.
And I psychologically I just don't understand it,
I
and I'm not
mean,
putting it down or anything like that. I just it's like you fight so hard for, let's say you're going to mimic what's in the videos, and they're talking about cash money and getting all these things. So all the things that you needed or excuse me, want to get, and then once you get them and live in the nicer houses, but then you want to go back to the hood, or like it doesn't make sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? It sounds
right. No, I
counterintuitive to
understand.
me.
But it's all about self-esteem. It's all about how you feel
Yeah.
about yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's how you see yourself. And this is what I understand. This is why I say to people, it doesn't, you can raise your child with the best intentions, with the best,
Yes.
you can. And sometimes kids are going to just do what
What they
kids
do.
do. But then sometimes some children are just going to get influenced by things that are just ridiculous. They're just
Yeah.
that they will. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
I can't articulate it fully in the way that I want to, but like Philly, for example, I just read are banning ski masks in certain places, which I
Mm.
think is absolutely a fair and right thing to do, because
Right.
these kids come into these stores with these damn ski masks on. They call
Yes.
him the Pooh Shiesty. There's a rapper named Pooh Shiesty that will wear them
What?
all the time. And we know them as school masks, but these kids are calling them Pooh
Yeah.
Shiesty, the Pooh Shiesties, and
Mhm.
they're not the ski masks that we know of with the two holes and
Yeah.
the eyes and the mouth opening. These are the ones where it's just like the nose on down is covered up, and you can only see their eyes, or
Oh.
they just have it over their mouth. So these are the things that they've been wearing. And they go into these stores and they rob them. So now Philadelphia was like, you will not wear these in these establishments. And they're like, some civil rights groups are no civil rights groups, sit your ass down.
What?
Because what
Where does that
I
even
need
come
you
into play?
to do, exactly. But they're saying that you're violating their civil rights to be able to wear what they want and wear where they. Okay, so
Not if they
shut
can't
your
come
mouth.
into my place of business because you don't own this, so you don't come in. How about go somewhere else? And I'm not saying they just don't. Our business is our business.
I'm all for it. And I feel like they're going to start to, especially in DC, they're going to have to start establishing something like that, because businesses are leaving DC.
Yes, they
rate.
really
They
are.
leaving.
I saw that in
Okay?
Penn Quarter, like a bunch of places right near Gallery Place have left, like multiple chains and stuff like that are leaving
Yeah,
and whatnot.
because why? Why when you're just going to come in here and rob? And I'm going to tell you, it's been happening in DC a lot because it's easy to
Get in and out.
grab and smash and grab.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you when they really gonna start doing something. It ain't gonna be. It's going when they start hitting Tyson's. When they start hitting Tyson's heavy, that's when you're gonna start to see them really give a damn about it. Because these kids is right now, I don't know what. And this is why the recession is the recessioning the way that it is. Why am I going to pay, if you're somebody who's into luxury goods, right? If you're somebody that's into like Gucci and Louis and Chanel and Chloe, Balenciaga, if you're in that, you will have noticed that from the time that these things started to happen, like 2020, into 2020, beginning of 2021, prices on these luxury items have skyrocketed. Skyrocketed, right? Yeah. Because these kids are going into these stores and they're hitting this. And guess what's going to happen? The prices of non-luxury goods are going to start to go up, right? Like, you're not going to be able to basically afford to freaking live. This woman, even though people were, and I know we're getting a little bit off, but this is important, and then we'll circle back around. But there was this video trending on TikTok that it was all on the Bird app, where this nurse, it's a white woman, was on there and she was crying, and she was just like, my husband and I make good money. She's like, I'm a registered nurse. She didn't say what her husband did. She said they make good money. They live in a Rambler, right? A ranch home,
right?
Very modest home. When you saw it, you were like, okay, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? She's a registered nurse. She makes 6 figures. I forgot how much she said her husband makes. She said after they pay their mortgage, and people listening comprehension, very key. Y'all don't listen. Y'all don't listen.
Y'all listen to respond, not to hear.
Right. She said they paid her mortgage, they bought groceries, and put gas in their cars. She said she has $200 left until the next paycheck, right? She's like, I don't understand how, and people were in the comments coming for her. Oh, first of all, well, if you only had $200 left, then you got poor money management. Somebody was saying, well, you got on a pink shirt, the pink, which was Victoria's Secret, and a Under Armour headband. Well, you got those name brands on, first of all.
What?
Well, I ain't gonna say yes. They're saying that. Well, you just don't know. The other people saying $200. Well, you doing good. What you need? Your bills are paid. She said she paid 2 bills: the mortgage and her car note. Put gas in the car and bought groceries. So the people that were coming at her, I realized, are not people who either live by themselves, have a lot of have ever had disposable income, or have a whole lot of bills. She's a registered nurse, which probably means she's still paying student loans. I don't know what her husband does. But let's assume he still has student loans. They have 3 kids, I think she said, or 2 kids.
Oh, wow.
If you have children, you could buy groceries.
That grocery bill is ridiculous.
It is 3 people in my house. my grocery bill every 2 weeks is $400. This
Yes.
is every 2 weeks. It's $400 budgeted for groceries. That means I'm spending almost like
Yes.
that, and I'm spending, I know, about $1,000 to $1,200 a month on groceries, because if you actually go grocery shopping, you know
Yes.
that you're not going to make it until the next grocery
Woo!
time before you
Not
have
with
to
the
stop at the
prices and the
grocery store
groceries.
again.
Yes, because and you can't afford to like just buy everything all at once, because it's just like, wait, it's like, okay, so we getting bread today, or we getting
Yeah.
eggs?
My child
It's crazy.
eats fruit like it's ice. So we gotta keep restocking. And this is like, if you want to make sure your family is healthy, the damn fruit doesn't last that long. So
It
if
sure
you
don't.
know, like I know you're going to be going to the grocery store to buy stuff.
And don't try to be healthy. Don't
Right.
try to be healthy and drink some produce, some fresh produce, the stuff that's actually going to keep you well.
Let's talk
Oh,
about it. So
man.
I'm just saying, they were coming at this woman, and I felt bad, because I'm like, y'all really don't have any empathy. Like, this woman's on this app crying. If she's making 6 figures, she's basically saying, if I'm making good money and I'm struggling, something needs to change,
Yes.
because I should not be struggling. And y'all talking about her bad as if she's saying something wrong.
Yeah.
If she is struggling, she should be. Trust me, that is the situation for a lot of people
A
who are
lot.
making good money.
A
A lot
lot.
of people that are living paycheck to paycheck.
It is more common than people realize how that paycheck to paycheck thing is going for a lot of people.
Because
For
what
their
people don't realize is the more money you make, the more money you spend.
Thank you. And the more money they
just-
take. Because you're not coming
Hello?
home. You are, and I think some people don't realize, first of all, taxes, people, taxes. It's something called FICA. You know what I'm talking about. All these other people that be taking money out, Social Security. You do not come home with what you are actually making. And I think people really forget how much you really don't come home. You don't come home with.
When you look at your gross pay, just look at your gross pay, and then look at how much you actually get paid, and be like, why do they need
Hello,
this much?
Jesus. Hello, Jesus.
Why y'all need this much?
Hello, Jesus.
Why do you need this much?
Man,
And then,
I look at my paycheck sometimes and I see how much I bring on paper, that gross income per month, and then I see look at my bank account. I'm like, well, that. Oh, I did. Just.
but that's what I'm saying. And this has been the life of people this whole year. So that's probably why our topics have been a lot heavier.
Yes.
When you look at some of the episodes that we have,
Mhm.
like, I mean,
Life be life, man. Life was life this
life
year,
really
and
be
it came
lifing.
through in the episodes because it really.
yeah, they did.
It really did, because I definitely say with the living
What
with
were
regret.
yours?
Living with regret, the power of manifestation, and definitely the a tie between the art of rest and resentment. Yeah, I would say those definitely. For the Chuckle Kiki ones, definitely the cuffing season. I got a kick out of that one. That was the levity. The levity. I thought that was great.
Yes.
But but definitely with the art of rest and looking at how resentment can interfere with your art of rest and cause you to live with regret. Like I kind of like that whole theme and how that can infuse how you show up and really kind of.
Let me ask you this: from those episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And any of the other ones that we've done this year, what do you think was the thing that you learned the most about yourself through this year?
I would say looking at the art of rest as being like the fundamental cornerstone for me to be able to tackle everything else. Like if all these things are coming at us, if I'm not taking care, and it goes back to our theme of what we talk about for the podcast, the self-care. And if you're not taking care of yourself, how the hell are you going to be able to even process all the other stuff that we talked about? Like in a clear manner. And so I think through this year with me coming back for my surgery stuff and finally having a full year back as a full-time employee and realizing the boundaries that I had to put on myself for taking care of myself. So like I've, have adopted giving myself alarms to do certain things. Cause y'all know I used to be workaholic and work like 80 plus hours a week. at one point in my
Mm-hmm.
life, and I lived at the office. And I literally have instituted alarms at 5:30. I get off. And if I
Mm-hmm.
can't get off, then I have a second one till like 6:30 because there may be a project that I'm working on in some way,
Mm-hmm.
shape, or form. That I now it's like it's clockwork to me. 5:30. Okay, it's time to stop. And then, of course, I may go
Mm-hmm.
on and work on my business stuff, but making sure that I had to set up those boundaries for myself, even if they were like little boundaries, they are still boundaries enough. And then I started implementing naps. Y'all know I've had
Oh
insomnia
yes,
for decades,
yes, yes.
for
Naps are good. Yeah.
decades.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm actually able to take naps, which is huge
Mm-hmm.
for me. Huge for me because I
Yeah.
just never really was
Yeah.
able to. So making those things more, being more intentional about those things, and definitely with my stress level, like you said, certain things, letting things go to a point,
Mm-hmm.
um and realizing, like, you know what, I was invited to that party, but I'm gonna decline it. And i
I'm not going.
mean and I mean to the sense that not necessarily a physical party, a party
Mm-hmm.
of
No, no,
foolishness.
yeah. Yes, a
Yeah.
party, and we talked about being invited
Yes.
to parties. Yes, and
Right.
how you don't have to attend. I think we talked about
Exactly.
that during the first year of
Hmm.
our, I think for me this year, like I've struggled with like because we just did one on body image, and I think
Hmm.
this year for me, the things that I've struggled with and I've learned about myself is like the body image thing. Like I've had this love hate
Hmm.
relationship with my body, and this year has just been more challenging for me to accept and grow into. I'm not
Hmm.
20 anymore. I'm a woman
Hmm.
who is on the verge of 50. My body is
Hmm.
definitely not going to look the same. No matter, even if I lose weight, it's still not going to look the way that I envision, the false narrative that I've given in my head as to what I'm
Hmm.
supposed to look like at this age. Um,
But the
I think
realization of
I've
all the other things going on with you, like as we
yes,
age, those are things, that's that level of
right,
acceptance that we have
right,
to navigate. That, okay,
right,
like when you go to sleep, it's like, well, what time we going to sleep? It's 10 o'clock. Okay, that's good. What
right.
time we having something? It's starting at 2.
Right.
Okay, that's good. Like, you know what I mean. But it speaks into
Yeah.
being able to figure out what your body can do and
Yes.
accepting that.
And accepting it and understanding that there are things that I have that I'm dealing with physically that are just going to put some limitations on
Hmm.
some things, right?
Because it's
And just
life.
accepting it, right? Accepting that and understanding that I'm dealing with, PCOS and how that's had a tremendous, effect on my fertility and me
Hmm.
being able to conceive more children and just me losing weight and looking the way that that I would like to look.
Hmm.
That has been a struggle for me this year. You know, but looking at like the 10 best things that I've learned from my 10 worst experiences and just looking at
Hmm.
that and saying, yeah,
That was a
you
good
know
one.
what, you've had some struggles this year, but look at the things that you have done that have gotten
Hmm.
you to this point and how much you have grown and the
Call
person that
that
you have become.
growth. We call that growth.
Yes, right, some of the things that you've manifested, what you talked about,
Hmm.
that have come to fruition, and then also just like I said, understanding that there have to be boundaries. Like
Yes.
I've become because I've become more anxiety ridden. I'm more sensitive to things,
Hmm.
and I'm more sensitive to listening to other people's ups and downs, and
Right.
I'm more in tune to how that affects me and understanding that I can put boundaries and say I just don't have the capacity or the space to deal with this right now, so I will come back to that later. Like I said,
Hmm.
I have two friends right now that are going through very traumatic situations on different ends of the spectrum. Like I said, I have a friend
Yeah.
who is probably not going to make it to Christmas, and then I have a friend who is going through a very traumatic divorce. And um traumatic divorce because just the level of fuckery that keeps coming up is
Mm.
just like, and watching these people navigate these two situations and just understanding that it's just like the fuck is going on, and then
Yeah.
understanding that those both of those situations have triggers for me, right? Like understanding being in a really bad relationship, and seeing some of the things that she's going through, knowing that I had gone through at one point, that's a trigger. And then watching
Right.
my friend pass away, around the same time my mother passed away from the same
Mm-hmm.
condition has been a huge trigger for me. And
Right.
I have to understand that there are boundaries I have to set in place for myself, and that I can still care about my friends, but also make sure that I hold enough space for myself.
Yeah.
Um, has been something that I've really learned to try to do better um, this year. To the point where I know now that I'll be able to navigate 2024 a little bit better when
Right.
it comes to
And I think
things like this.
that's all we can really ask for as we are wrapping up and giving over the overview of this year. Can you take some best practices, lessons learned, to give you a different viewpoint or approach on how you go into that next year? And I know we always had a little cliche, "New year, new me," but that's not necessarily always necessarily a good thing. It's still you, but what are some of the new things that you've learned that you can apply
Right,
going into the next year? How has your perspective
right,
changed? How can you process things differently? What are you going to tolerate, even if it's not giving yourself a whole laundry list of this, that, and the other? But what's that one thing that you learned, takeaway,
right.
that you're like, okay, maybe I can see going into 2024 with a new lens? And how am I
Yeah,
reflecting on what has happened over this year moving forward?
yeah. And I
You
think
know?
if there's one thing that we want you all to take away as we wind up this episode is that, we hope that over the last 3 years, we've provided you with some, you know, um, help
Hmm.
in terms of how to navigate certain situations. We've given you information. Maybe we've enlightened you on situations that you never
Hmm.
knew
Some
were
tools that we
even,
were able to give
yeah, some
you.
tools. I hope that this year, we've provided some joy and some laughter,
Hmm.
because I know that 2023 hasn't just been a shit show for us. It's been a shit show for a lot
Right.
of us for a lot of different reasons. And 2024 is shaping up to be pretty much the same because now we're heading into election season, and that's going to bring another level of anxiety and
That's going to be interesting because,
turmoil for a
woo,
lot of people. But I
man.
just hope that you all have, survived and
Hmm.
thrived and continue to do so, and will continue to do so in the next year. I hope that
Give
we've brought
yourself
some type
grace.
of, yes, um, I hope you've learned about
Yeah,
giving yourself grace and learning boundaries and being good to yourself and loving up on you and your people, because like we
please.
said,
Yes.
time is so fleeting and we just don't know. And I just want us to say that we love you all and we thank you for
Thank you
rocking
for
with us this
listening.
time. We
Yes.
hope you have a
Most
joyous,
small businesses don't last. Most small businesses fail in their first 3 years, and we've been going 3 years strong. So we
right,
appreciate
right.
you as listeners, and um, thank you for always tuning in. And I think
Yep.
even though, and Z, I think in a twisted kind of way, or maybe in my putting my behavioral health hat on, for us to start this during COVID and for it to be an outlet for you and I, and it's become a part of our life and our kind of institution for us of something that we just do. And it's been
Right.
interwoven into how we connect. Um, and, that the three of us that are involved in this with our producer, we all started we all met in college and we're in our 40s now. And for us to come to this part of our life where we can reflect and give back and reminisce and kind of show how we've grown as we've grown. I think it's a unique experience because I don't nowadays with friendships. I think for a lot of folks can't say they've known someone for over 20 years and still be connected in a way
Right.
that
No, those are
has,
facts.
in a way that you have a product of what your experiences have been of your friendship, your laughters, your loves, your losses, your growth as just lifing with people and to be able to have a platform to elevate those experiences for us from coming from young women to getting our grown women on in life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and I think that's just kind of a unique way for us to, kind of grow and be beneficial to all of us as we've kind of navigated this landscape of life because I think it's just given us an outlet. And sometimes we're like, yeah, we don't Zarifa's like, yeah, all of our five listeners, you know, sometimes I really think it's been therapeutic for me. It's been beneficial to me. Our producer said it's been beneficial to her. And for us to kind of get our heads to think outside of our lives and kind of give back. And I think that one of these days we're going to make a book of all our episodes, or something to that effect, and a reflection point for us. And hopefully, like Z said, that it was beneficial to you all. So I think it's definitely been a mutually beneficial situation, and just
Yep.
appreciate what you guys have said, the feedback that we've gotten over the years. And, as we look ahead to 2024, how we're going to tweak things, how we're going to reshape some things, and provide a different and unique perspective on going into 2024 with what we, some ideas that we're knocking around. So just want to say thank you going forward.
Okay, well, we are going to just say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, um,
Kwanzaa.
and yes, and we will see you in the new year.
Happy New Year. Be well.